Hey guys, welcome back to the channel today. My name is Usetale. If you are new here, you are highly welcome. Please do want to hit on the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we post new videos. On today's tutorial video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how I made this beautiful corset crop top using bra cups. If this sounds like something you're interested in, keep on watching and let's go straight to the tutorial video. Welcome back guys. These are the materials I'm going to be using for the making of the top. I'll be making use of this flowered crepe fabric. I have it to be 1 yard. I'm also going to be making use of this cotton fabric for the interfacing. Then I'll be using these two bra cups, which is the size of my round bust measurement. So these are the major fabric you're going to be needing. I'm just going to place them aside. Then I'll first draft out the pattern on my pattern paper. These are the body measurements you're going to be needing to be able to draft out this pattern. So now the first thing I'm going to do is to rule a line here, which is going to serve as the starting line. Now on this line, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement divided by 2. So from that mark, I will come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Here I'm going to take 3 inches for my neck width. Then I'm going to connect my shoulder slope just like this. After doing that, now it's time to take all the horizontal measurements. I'm going to place the tape on the starting line, then I'll measure to the bust point. I'll take it all the way to the under bust. Then I'll take the length of this crop top, which is 17 inches. I'm just going to go ahead and rule out the horizontal lines. After I'm done ruling, I will label it the bust point. Here is the under bust and here is the waistline. Now the next thing I want to do is to get the chest line. So from the bust point, I will go up by 1.5 inches to get the chest line. Then I'm going to connect it. I'll label it the chest line. Now I'm going to measure what I have here, which is my shoulder measurement divided by 2. I'll take the same thing on the chest line. Then I'm going to rule a straight line just like this. Then after doing that, I'm going to divide this line here into 2 to get half of it. So from that mark, I'm going to come in by 0.75 inches. Then on the chest line, I will take my round bust measurement divided by 4. Then I'm going to use my French curve to connect the 3 dots, these dots, these dots, and these dots to give me my armhole. Just like this. After doing that, now I'm going to come to the under bust line here. I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. Then I will take the same thing on the waistline. Then I'm going to connect the dots with my straight ruler. After doing that, I'm going to come to the waistline. On that line, I will take ½ inch on both sides. Then I'm going to connect it just like this to create the dart. After I'm done doing that, now the next thing I want to do is to take the round body measurement. So from here to here is my round bust measurement divided by 4. I'm going to come to the under bust line. I'll take the round under bust measurement divided by 4. Then come to the waistline. I'll take the round waist measurement divided by 4. I'm going to measure the dart and I will add it to it. Then I'm going to go ahead and connect it with my ruler. Now after doing that, on the waistline here, I'm going to be going up by 0.75 inches. Then I'm going to connect a curve just like this. So just to make the hem part to be a little bit curvy. Now the next step is I'm going to bring my bra cup. It's time for us to create the corset. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the bust line. I'll just come here and I will mark ½ inch. Then I'm going to mark the same thing on the under bust line, ½ inch. Then I'm going to connect a straight line with my straight ruler. After doing that, now I'm going to bring the bra cup. I'm going to place it to make sure it is sitting directly on the line here. And also the bra cup is sitting on the under bust line as well. So you can see what I have. So just arrange it very well. Make sure everything is straight. Then after you have gotten what you're looking for, like your bra cup is sitting straight, you can see the same space I have here is what I have here. Then I'm just going to use my pencil to first of all trace it out. So just use your pencil to follow the bra cup to trace exactly what you have to your pattern paper. Can you see what I'm doing? So when you are doing this, you have to be very careful. Make sure that your bra cup is not moving. If it move, you will not have the shape that you're supposed to get. Okay, so just be very, very careful while you are doing this. Then when you get to where the bra cup ends, you're going to draw it out just like this. You draw it out like this. Then here you also do the same thing. You draw it out. Now you remove your bra cup. You can see what I have. I'm going to use my marker to just make the line very visible. You can see what I'm doing right now. So guys, this is it. So it ends here and here. So guys, this is it for the drafting of the front piece. So let me just place my bra cup. You can see it is exactly the same thing. You can see, perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. After you are done cutting, this is what you're going to have it looking like. Now I'm going to use this front piece to trace on another pattern paper for the back. So this is the pattern paper I'm going to be using for the back piece. The first thing I'm going to do is to draw out the zipper allowance. I'll just mark 1.5 inches here and here. Then I'm going to rule a straight line. Then after I'm done doing that, I'm going to place the front piece on my pattern paper to start exactly where that line is. Then I'm going to just trace out what I have to my new pattern paper, just like this. Then I'll also mark the top here and here. Then after doing that, I'm going to use my marker to make the line very visible. So just follow the mark just like this. Then when you get here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the line there straight. So when I was drafting the front, I went up by 0.75 to give it a curve, right? But for the back, I don't want it to have a curve. I'll just go up by the same 0.75 here. Then I'm going to make the line here to be straight. You can see, very straight. Then after doing that, at the top here, this is where I marked. I'm going to be coming down by extra ½ inch from that mark. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect it just like this. You can see. So that's what you're going to have. Now the next thing is to draw out the dart. To do that, I'm going to come to the waistline. I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus ½ inch. Then I'm going to take the same thing at the top here. Then I'm going to connect the dot with my straight ruler. Now on this line, I'm going to take ½ inch on both sides. Then I will create the dart. After creating the dart, now I'm going to come to this end here. I will go in by ½ inch. Then I will connect it to the top in a slanted form just like this. This is going to help reduce zipper bulge. So because I have reduced there by ½ inch, I will also reduce the zipper allowance by ½ inch and connect as well. So now I'm going to extend this line. You can see, you label it the zipper. So this is what you're going to have. Now I'm going to go ahead to cut this out. So guys, this is what you're going to have after you are done cutting. So both the front and the back pieces are ready. Now I'm going to use them to cut on my fabric. This is what I had after I was done cutting them out on my fabric. You can see I cut both the actual fabric and the lining pieces. You can see. Now another thing I did was I added ½ inch to the top here and here, and I added ½ inch to the curve here. I added extra 1 inch to the length, and I added 1.5 inches to the side for the sewing allowance. So I did the same thing to the back, ½ inch here, 1 inch to the length, and 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. Okay, so guys, that was how I cut them out, and you can see I've gone ahead to mark out the dart following the dart on my pattern paper. So I transferred them to the fabric, and I did the same thing to the back. I notched the zipper area and I mark out all the darts. Okay, so that is it guys. Now I'm going to remove my pattern paper. So before I cut them out on my fabric, another thing I did was I ironed my hairstay to the pieces. Okay, so this is it, the actual fabric and the lining. So I iron hairstay to the actual fabric of the front piece before I cut it out. It is easier that way. It's easier to iron hairstay to it before cutting. I also did the same thing to the lining piece, but for the back piece I did not iron hairstay to the actual fabric of the back piece. I only iron hairstay to the lining pieces. So this is the only piece that I did not iron hairstay to. Okay, so that was what I did off camera. Now the next thing is for me to start sewing. I'm just going to place the lining pieces aside. I'm also going to place the back piece aside, just like this. Then the first thing I will do is I'm going to take the front piece to the sewing machine. I'll just place the darts together. I'll fold it together like this. Then I'll sew the dart, and I'm going to do the same thing here as well. After I was done sewing the dart, I just trim out the excess and I iron it flat. I open up the seam and iron it flat. So this is what you're going to have it to be looking like. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I will bring this piece of fabric that I'll be using for the bony casing. I've already folded it together in form of bias, and I use my iron to iron it. Then I'm just going to place it where I sew my dart. I will cut out what I need. I'm just going to use my pin to pin it down like this. You can see. Now take it to the sewing machine and sew here and here. Then I'll do the same thing to the middle. So cut out exactly what I need, pin it down and sew on the both sides. Then the same thing here. I'm also going to sew on the both sides. So this is what I had after I was done sewing the bony casing to the fabric. 1 2 3. I decided to add extra one here and here. I just feel like it's going to give it more beauty. So this is totally optional. So the most important ones are the 3 in the middle. So if you choose to put here, it's totally optional. So you can see how the back is looking like. So this is what you're going to have. I also went ahead to sew the dart to the lining pieces. You can see. So I've sewn the darts to the lining pieces, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to place them aside and bring the cups. So it's time to work on the cups. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be sewing that to my cup. I'm going to be sewing that on the cup. To do that, I'm just going to flip it together like this. Then I will make a notch at the middle of the cup. Then from that notch, I'm just going to measure down 2 inches, which is going to be the length of my dart. Now after making that mark, I'm just going to bring my tape. So I will take 0.25 inch on both sides of this notch that I have. So that's making it a total of ½ inch dart that I took. So I'm just connecting it to meet that point that I have there in form of a dart. You can see. Now I'm going to cut it out just like this. After I'm done cutting, I'm going to place it together like this to cover it up. Can you see now? Now I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and use my zigzag stitch to stitch it. This is what I had after I was done doing it to the 2 cups. You can see. So this is it, guys. You can see I have more room now for my breast to sit perfectly inside. So that's the essence of creating that in your cup. Now I'm going to bring this piece of fabric here that I'll be using to cover up the cup. I have it to be 11 inches wide and it is 9.5 inches long. So I just folded it together like this. The first thing I will do is to place it together and mark the middle of it with my chalk. So after marking it like that, now I'm going to measure 1.5 inches at the top here. Then I'll also measure 1.5 inches at the bottom here. Now I'm going to connect it to meet the middle mark just like this. So after doing that, just cover out this sharp area here. I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew it down. So after sewing, guys, I'm just going to trim out the excess just like this. Then I'm going to place it together like this. This other end here, I'll just curve it out just the way you see me doing. So now you're going to have it looking like a rounded fabric. Then you go ahead and iron it out. After you are done ironing, this is what you're going to have it looking like. I went ahead to sew exactly the same thing for the other cup, you can see, and also as well for the lining pieces, just exactly the way I sewed the first one. So guys, this is it. Now I'm going to bring the cup. I'll place the cup on the fabric. So this is the area where I sewed it. I'm going to place the cup on it to be looking straight like this, you can see. Then I'm just going to go ahead and pin it down at the middle. So place your cup, make sure that your cup is very straight, following the line. Okay, then you're going to pin it down. Then after you are done pinning it down, at the top area here, you're also going to pin it down as well. Then at the bottom here, you are first of all going to fold your cup into 2 so you can make a notch at the middle just like this. Now you're going to place the middle of your cup to follow the line where you sew your fabric, and you're going to pin it down. You can see what I have now. Now you're just going to go ahead and pin the cup round. So make sure that your fabric is straight, okay, while you are pinning it down. You can see what I'm doing, guys. Now that I'm done pinning, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine, then I will sew it round. So after doing that, I'm just cutting out all the excess fabric, you can see. So this is what you're going to have it looking like. The two cups are ready. Now I'm going to use the lining piece to cover it up. To do that, I'm going to be placing the right side of my lining together with the right side of my cup, just like this. So make sure to follow the line where you sew it. So just place it on it like this. Make sure your cup is straight. You're going to sew it at the top here, then you will do the same thing to the other cup. So after doing that, you're going to trim out the excess just like this. Now you're going to take it to the sewing machine and make a top stitch on it just like that. This is what I had after I was done top stitching it. I don't know if you guys can see the top stitch that I made. Now I'm going to cover it up just like this. You can see that the lining piece is showing. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to bring my pin. I will just make sure that I pin it down in a way that the lining piece is not going to be showing outside. Can you see what I'm doing? So just make sure to place your lining piece inside very well and pin it down. After you are done pinning, now you can see that the lining piece is no longer popping out. I'll take it to the same machine and run a stitch on it and do the same thing here. This is what I had after I was done running the stitch, you can see. So this is it. Now I'm going to bring my hemming gum. I'm going to be placing hemming gum inside of the cup to gum both the cup and the lining piece together. So you can see I'm just placing my hemming gum inside of my cup like this. So after you are done placing your hemming gum inside, you're going to cover it up like this. Then you will use your hot iron to press it down. Can you see what I'm doing, guys? So basically I'm just gumming my lining piece to the cup so that it can stay very firm. So this is what I had. Now I'm going to go ahead to just sew it like this. This is what I had after I was done sewing lining piece to the cup. You can see how nice clean it came out. So this is it, guys. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring my front piece. I'm going to bring the lining piece as well. I'm going to be placing them the right sides facing each other. Then I'm going to sew the top area here. Then I will do the same thing here. I will sew it using 1/2 inch. And I will also sew this area using 1/2 inch. This is what I had after I was done sewing, you can see. So I just flipped it to the right side and iron it out. Now I'm going to run a stitch here and here. After running that stitch, the next thing is for me to attach the cup. I'm going to go ahead and pin the cup to my fabric. So where I join my cup, I'll place it at the area where I join my darts, just like that. Then I'm going to pin it down. Then I'm going to go ahead and pin it all the way to the other end. So when you get to this end here, make sure that your fabric and your cup is matching together. Then go ahead and pin it down. Can you see? Then you're also going to do the same thing here. So just place your cup together with the fabric and pin it. Make sure that it is matching up together at the top there. So guys, just go ahead and pin it down. And after I was done pinning, this is what I had it to be looking like. You can see how it's already looking pretty even without sewing yet. I'm just going to go ahead and run a stitch on it. Then I will sew the other cup as well. This is what I had after I was done attaching the cup, okay? You can see how pretty it came out. I also went ahead to use my overlock machine to weave it in order to give it a very nice finishing. So guys, this is it. This is what you're going to have. After doing that, I went ahead to sew lining pieces to my back pieces for the sake of time. So I first of all sewed that, then I sewed the lining piece just like this, and I also did the same thing to this other one. I also went ahead to mark out where the zipper allowance is going to be. So that was what I did off camera. I'm just going to also place it aside. Another thing I did is I made gathers. So this little fabric here, I use it to make gathers. I have it to be 2 inches long. I'm just going to be attaching it to the hem part of my top. So this is optional. I didn't plan to do this initially, but I just felt like it's going to give it more beauty. I created the gathers using my round waist measurement divided by 2, which is 14, and I cut times 2 of that. So I used 28 inches long of fabric to create the gathers. Okay, so I just pulled the threads to give it the gather effect, and for the back I did the same thing, and I divided it into 2. So guys, that was how I created these gather pieces. Now I'm going to be attaching them to the fabric. Before I do that, I'm going to place my bony through my bony casing. So just place it inside like this. When it gets to the end, you're going to pull it out a little bit by about ½ inch before you cut your bony. Then you push it inside. Then after doing that, you're also going to do the same thing to all the other bony casing. Before you put your bony, make sure to trim the mouth so that it will not be sharp. Okay, so place it inside just like this. Then when it gets to the end, pull it out a little bit and cut, then push it inside. Now you're going to go ahead to put bony in all the other cases. After doing that, go ahead and use your hot iron to iron it out to be flat, just the way you see me doing. So guys, this is what you're going to have after doing that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring these gather pieces. I'm going to be attaching it to the down part here. I'm just going to place it on it like this. Then I'm going to go ahead to use my pin to pin it down only to the actual fabric. So just pin it all the way to the other end. After you are done pinning, you take it to the sewing machine. Then you're going to sew it down. After you are done sewing, now you will use the lining piece to cover it up just like this. You can see you place the cup inside, then you will use the lining piece to cover it up, and you're going to sew it. So I was struggling with this, guys. You can see what I'm doing. So just go ahead and use your lining piece to cover it up and sew it down as well. After you are done sewing the front piece, you're also going to sew gather pieces to the back pieces. So first of all, I'm just going to flip it inside out just like this. Then I'll bring my gather pieces. So before I make gathers, I hem this area and also this area here. So this area that was hemmed, I'm going to place it exactly where my zipper notch is. Can you see? So just place it where your zipper notch is. Then you use your lining piece to cover it up. Then you're just going to sew it down. You do the same thing here. This is what I had after I was done attaching the gather pieces to the fabric. You can see how clean the sewing is looking like. So this is it, guys. And I also did the same thing to the back pieces. You can see. So this is it. You can see what I have. So this is the zipper allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead to attach my zipper. I will start sewing it from the end here. I'm just going to sew the zipper to the back pieces. Then when I get to the top here, I'll cut out all the excess. This is what I had after I was done attaching the zipper. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to join the two pieces together. I'm just going to place the side together like this. I will pin it down. So just pin it down all the way to the end. Now after pinning, you're going to join it using 1.5 inches, which is the sewing allowance that we added. This is what I had after I was done joining the sides together. You can see how pretty it came out. So this is it. Now the last thing I'm going to do is to attach the ropes. So I already went ahead to fold the rope that I'm going to be using. So I just folded it together and I run stitches on it at the two sides. So this is it. So I also have these smaller ones. I will also be needing them. I measured the length of the rope in my bra to get the length of this rope. So when I was done measuring, I had like 23 inches. So I just cut out 24 inches and I have 2 of them. Then these other smaller ones, I have it to be 2 inches long. Then I'm going to be making use of these pins. I got them from an old bra of mine that I'm no longer using. I'm going to be using them to put a bra like rope in this corset top. So to do that, I'm just going to take this particular one that looks like this. You can see I burned the mouth of my rope with fire in order for it not to be bringing out threads. Okay, so I did the same thing to the other smaller pieces as well. So I just burned it with fire. Now I'm going to place it through this pin. I'll just place it on it just like this. Can you guys see what I did? So after placing it on it like that, I'm going to stitch it just like that. Then after stitching, you're going to have it looking like this. Can you see? So this is it. Now I'm going to take this round one. I'll place my rope through it just like this. Then after doing that, I'll place it through this other one again. You can see. Then I'm going to have it looking like this. You can see this is how our bra rope used to look like. Now this other smaller one, I will place it through this end here. Then I'm going to have it looking like this. Now I'm going to be sewing it to my corset. So to do that, I'm just going to measure from the middle of my corset. I'll just measure like 5 inches wide, 4.5 or 5 inches, depending on how wide you want it to be. Then you're going to place this rope on it. So this part here is where you are going to be placing at the front. You will stitch it down. So I'm just going to first of all use my pin to pin it down for you guys to see. Then after you're done placing it on it like that, you will stitch it. Then this other side, you're going to place it at the back. You place it at the back like this. So I'm just going to measure the same 5 inches wide. You can see. Then I'll place it on it just like this, and I'll pin it down as well. I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'll just stitch it here and here. Then I will do the exact same thing to the other rope. This is what I had after I was done attaching the rope. You can see. Now you can easily adjust the length of the rope to what you want. So that's the essence of doing it that way. So this is it for the making of this beautiful corset top. If you have gained value from the watching of this video, please do well to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Share this video so that a lot of people can see it to watch as well. Thank you so much guys for watching. I'll see you all in my next video.